What would you do if a powerful man tried to take over your country? Would you fight back? Would you stay quiet? Or would you stand up, even if it meant losing everything? This is the story of a man who chose to stand, a man who refused to kneel to a ruler, a man who would rather die than live under a tyrant. This is the story of Cato the Younger. Cato the Younger was born in 95 BC into one of Rome's most respected families. His great-grandfather, Cato the Elder, was a famous leader known for his discipline and strong moral values. Cato the Younger inherited that same iron will. From a young age, Cato was different. He did not chase luxury or wealth like many others in Rome. Instead, he lived by a strict code of honor. He trained himself to be strong in both mind and body. He walked barefoot, even in the cold. He wore simple clothes, even though he was wealthy. He ate plain food and never sought comfort. Why? Because Cato believed that true strength came from self-control. He wanted to be prepared for anything. He believed that a person should never be ruled by their desires. Instead, they should rule themselves. He lived by the words, "Patience is the greatest of all virtues." He did not rush to speak or act. He took his time, making sure every decision he made was the right one. Cato was a Stoic. He believed in discipline, wisdom, and justice. He believed that the best life was one spent doing the right thing no matter the cost. And when Rome started to change, when powerful men like Julius Caesar threatened its traditions, Cato knew he had to act. Long ago, Rome was a great republic. It was ruled by laws, not by a single man. The people had a say in their government. It was a system built on order, debate, and the balance of power. But things started changing. Some men wanted all the power for themselves. One of those men was Julius Caesar. He was a strong leader, a great general, and very popular. He won battles, brought wealth to Rome, and had the support of the people. But he wanted more. He wanted to rule Rome alone. Many people saw this coming, but they were too afraid to stop him. They thought resisting Caesar was too dangerous. They thought it was better to accept his rule than to fight back. But not Cato. Cato believed in freedom. He believed no man should have too much power. He was not the strongest fighter. He was not the richest man, but he was brave. And he stood against Caesar when no one else would. Cato followed one simple rule in his life. Begin to speak only when I'm certain what I'll say isn't better left unsaid. This meant that Cato valued silence just as much as speech. He believed that words should serve a purpose and carry weight. Too many people, he thought, spoke just to be noticed or to fill the air with noise. But true wisdom comes from knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. To Cato, thoughtless words were dangerous. They could mislead people, start unnecessary arguments, and even weaken one's credibility. His belief in careful speech also made him a man of deep reflection. He would listen closely, observe, and only contribute when he had something valuable to add. This made his words even more powerful. When Cato spoke, people listened. Imagine if we all followed this rule today. How many arguments could be avoided? How much more respect could be gained by speaking less, but saying more? And he did not talk to impress people. He did not speak just to be heard. He only spoke when his words mattered. As Rome changed, Cato stayed the same. He followed his beliefs no matter what. He refused bribes even when others took them. He spoke the truth even when people mocked him. And he followed the law even when it was easier to break it. But standing up for what's right is not always easy. And soon Cato would have to make the hardest choice of all. Julius Caesar wanted to change Rome's laws to make himself more powerful. He needed the Senate, the group of men who made Rome's decisions, to agree. Cato said no. He stood up in the Senate and spoke for hours, trying to stop Caesar's plan. He would not let Rome fall into the hands of one man. Caesar got angry. He told the guards to take Cato away, but even as they dragged him out, Cato kept shouting, warning everyone of Caesar's plans. He was not afraid. Some people laughed at Cato. Some thought he was being stubborn, but others saw his bravery. He was fighting for what was right even when he was alone. Cato did not just argue against Caesar in speeches, he took action. When Caesar gained too much power, Cato pushed for him to be put on trial. When others tried to make deals with Caesar, Cato refused. He did everything in his power to stop Caesar from taking over Rome. And then everything changed. Cato's worst fears came true. Caesar took his army and marched into Rome. The Republic was over. Rome was now ruled by Caesar. Many senators gave up. They accepted Caesar as their ruler. Some even welcomed him. They saw him as strong and powerful, and they thought fighting back was useless. But Cato refused. He left Rome and joined the last group of men still fighting for freedom. He led his soldiers across the sea to North Africa. He had no chance of winning, but he kept fighting because to him, some things were worth more than victory. Even in the harsh deserts of Africa, Cato stayed strong. He walked with his men. He ate the same simple food. He slept on the ground, just like them. He never asked for special treatment. He never acted better than anyone else. His soldiers followed him because they respected him, not because they feared him. Cato often reminded his men, don't promise twice what you can do at once. He never made false promises. He did what he said he would do, and that made him a leader worth following. He believed that everyone has the gift of speech, but few have the gift of wisdom. It was not enough to talk. One had to think, to act, and to lead by example. Cato and his men made their last stand in the city of Utica. They knew they could not win. Caesar's army was too strong. Soon Caesar would arrive, and Cato would be taken prisoner. But Cato did not want to be ruled by Caesar. He did not want to bow to the man he had fought for so long. That night, he sat alone, reading a book about Socrates, another wise man who had died for what he believed in. He thought about the words, "Regard not dreams, since they are but the images of our hopes and fears." He understood that fear and hope could cloud judgment. He would not let that happen to him. By morning, Cato was gone. He had taken his own life, choosing death over surrender. He did not want Caesar to have the chance to forgive him. He did not want to be used as a symbol of mercy. He wanted his last act to show that he would never bow to a ruler. Even in death, he was free. What can we learn from Cato's life? Cato's life teaches us that integrity is not just about saying what is right, it is about living it, even when it is difficult. He showed that principles are not something we should abandon when they become inconvenient. Instead, they should be the foundation of our actions. Whether it is speaking up when we see something wrong, refusing to take shortcuts for personal gain, or standing firm when pressured to compromise, Cato's life reminds us that true strength is moral strength. His story also teaches us that courage is not about winning battles, but about staying true to ourselves. In a world where it is easy to follow the crowd, Cato reminds us that the greatest victories are not always seen by others. They are the ones within us. So when you face a difficult choice, ask yourself, what would Cato do?